So uranium just got absolutely walloped. UEC dropped 30% right after earnings came out, and look, if you've got money sitting on the sidelines wondering whether to buy the dip, this one's definitely worth 5 minutes of your time. I'm gonna walk you through what actually happened inside this company, where the real red flags are hiding, and the honest question you gotta ask yourself before you even touch it. Because cheap doesn't always mean safe. And that's the trap most beginners fall into. Look, UEC just tanked 30% on earnings. That's brutal, right? But here's what I want you to focus on. The stock's down 48% from its peak. That's not a single bad day, that's a thesis reset. When a climate narrative stock gets hit this hard this fast, the market's telling us something fundamental broke. Either the company failed to deliver on what everyone expected, or the expectations themselves got way ahead of reality. I need to know which one happened before I tell you what to do next. That's how we separate a buyable dip from a broken story. Look, uranium miner, not a utility. Important difference. The nuclear thesis is real, clean power, AI data centers crushing electricity demand. I get it, but here's where it breaks. Earnings for a miner live or die on commodity prices and production costs. Both swing hard. You can't stay up 3x in a year unless the underlying business accelerates to match. This quarter, that math just didn't work. The fuel thesis is solid. But the stock needed operational numbers to catch up, and they didn't. Look, here's what most people miss about mining stocks tanking on earnings. When UEC drops 30% in one day, it's not about what they already did. It's about what comes next. The market looks forward, not backward. Forward guidance is everything. Maybe they guided lower on uranium demand, or their production capacity took a hit, or costs spiked. Could be supplies stronger than expected. Whatever it is. The market just repriced the next 12 months of earnings down hard. That's why the stock falls like a stone. Here's where people get trapped, and I've seen this kill portfolios. You see a stock down 48% and your brain screams bargain. But the underlying business, uranium in this case, only fell 15 to 20%, so the stock collapsed way more than it should have. The market wasn't just repricing the commodity, it was demolishing the assumption that demand would explode. If that thesis broke, cheaper doesn't mean it's a good buy. You gotta ask, does this business actually work at this new price? That's the difference between a deal and a value trap. Here's your uranium script. Look, I'm watching 3 paths on UEC. 1. Uranium demand accelerates faster than we're mining it, prices bounce, and you're looking at 40 to 60% recovery over 12 months. That's the bull case. 2. Uranium stays abundant, prices range sideways, and the stock just slowly bleeds lower over 2 years. Or 3. We get a panic selling climax, the whole thing reprices for actual value, and then it starts fresh. None of these are locked in. Your job is simple. Which story do you believe? That's where your sizing comes from. Look, before you buy UEC, I need you to answer 5 things. First, do you actually understand uranium, or are you just chasing the climate narrative? Second, can you sleep if it drops another 20%? Third, what's the size here? 5% of your portfolio or 30%? Fourth, are you buying because nuclear is going to boom, or because UEC's valuation just makes sense right now? And finally, what happens that makes you admit you were wrong? If you can't answer that, you're not ready yet. Look, UEC just tanked 30% on earnings, and yeah, that stings if you're holding it. But here's what I'm thinking, down nearly 50 from its peak, we're looking at capitulation territory. Uranium's still in a structural bull market. This isn't a broken thesis, it's fear. The question isn't whether you buy at 39 or wait for 35. It's whether you believe in the energy supercycle. I do. So I'm adding on weakness, not panic selling. Come hang with us in Discord, where we break this stuff down every day. Real traders, real money, real talk. Join us at Discord. GG/R47RZGM.